So we're into 6G now. I just finished 5G. I was a leader on 5G getting that done. And now they're up to 6.
Let's do it again.
What does that do? Give you a little bit deeper view into somebody's skin? See how perfect it is? I like the cameras the old days. So they just had a nice feature. Now they cover every little. Let's see, Michael, you're in good shape. You're not gonna. But I tell you, it's the 6 is coming, huh?
It's coming.
Does it ever end? And what happens? You'll be into 7, right? Before 6 gets old, you'll be into 7. Does that do? Give you a little bit deeper view into somebody's skin? Does that do? Give you a little bit deeper view into somebody's skin?
This is the Hive Mind Nation channel. Welcome to today's show. How is that for a Freudian slip? Donald Trump discussing moving forward with 6G and even admitting that 6G, which is the human augmentation bio-digital convergence, the mixing of man, machine, computer, and AI, how it will enable Big Brother to see under your skin. Of course, laughing it off, using humor. Even the articles that were out there after the story of him announcing 6G were trying to pedal away from what he actually said and make it seem like he's a delusional old man. Articles like Trump bizarrely links 6G to camera tech and confusing remarks on next-gen networks. Grandpa Trump struggles to get his head around 6G. No, what he said was 100% truth, and they laugh it off and dismiss this stuff because the truth is always in plain sight. And they know that the majority, or I should say all of the citizens in this country won't have the slightest clue about what's coming forward with the 6G bio-digital convergence. And what we're talking about is metabolic energy harvesting, biofield hijacking, mRNA, immunosuppression. What we're talking about here is the Internet of Bodies. And what they won't tell you about 6G is how they're going to lean on terahertz waves, terahertz frequencies. And these frequencies go deep, so deep that it'll allow them to actually see under your skin. And I will get into the wearable technology and the Neuralink brain-computer interfaces in a few minutes so that people out there have a better understanding about what is actually coming, because the majority of the population think that 5G, 6G, that it's just going to allow them, because this is what they tell them and they believe what they're told like sheep will do, it's going to allow them to download things faster. It's going to make their internet speed faster, right? As if anybody out there is complaining about their internet speed at this point. Nobody saw a difference between 4G and 5G, and you're not going to see a difference between 5G and 6G in regards to how fast you can download music. But that's what they're going to tell you, and that's going to make the sheeple accept it, because they're going to go, oh, I want things faster. I need things faster. Oh, it's more convenient for me. But they're not going to tell you or how this is going to be able to penetrate your clothes and your skin. And people go, well, what's the big deal? What do I really want to hide that's under my skin? Well, we could start with what 6G surveillance is going to look like. The Internet of Bodies. We're talking about wearable implants, things like smart tattoos, nanotech, which will connect to networks for health tracking, which is why they've been sabotaging the health system, the healthcare system as we know it. They're doing it by design. They're making you trust less in the healthcare system. They're raising all these prices so that it makes it impossible for you to actually get healthcare. They're doing things like the United Healthcare assassination. They want to dismantle the system, just like you're seeing them dismantle our current government infrastructure. They're dismantling all systems to run through AI governance, which includes health tracking, okay? One of the other things that's out there that we've seen are all these stories about shooters. And, oh, how did this guy get a gun inside of a building? How did this kid get a gun inside of the school? Well, with 6G terahertz, they're going to be able to penetrate clothes. They're going to be able to detect weapons or drugs from afar. And that's how they're going to market this to the civilians. That, no, we're not going to come and take your guns. We're not going to, that's not what we were trying to say. We just want to make the school safer. So with 6G, we'll be able to track through people's clothing and see if they're carrying a weapon or not. They already ran these tests in the New York City subways, and all they need to do is come up with ideas of how to convince people that this is in their best benefit. So most people are thinking that all this stuff is going to come to the government grabbing your guns, but really What they want to do is they want to have the approval to be able to use surveillance to check and see if somebody's carrying a weapon or not. And then, of course, it goes further from there when we talk about government-created viruses or bioweapons like COVID, which we all know is the common flu. But any type of bioweapon they unleash, they're going to use 6G and monitor what's underneath your skin. So this is not healthy from so many different aspects. We can look at it from the surveillance state aspect, but we should really look at it from a health aspect because the type of frequencies we're talking about here are deadly. 5G, we all know how bad it's been. We know how many people have been suffering from, if you're near those towers, migraines, dizziness, cloudy thinking, right? Foggy thinking, tumors, cancer, all these other things that 5G causes, how it weakens and kills off the immune system. Well, 6G terahertz, all the testing that they've done on mice and things like that, okay, have literally caused DNA changes. So we're talking about changing you, right? We've heard Claus and we've heard all these guys talking about changing me. What they want to do is change who you are, what you are. And then you start thinking about them being able to see, once some of these devices are on your body, like wearables, or in your body, being able to see your thoughts, being able to, they'll be able to literally see your organs and things like that and tell you that this is the best medical care any human being's ever got if we go forward with this, which they'll go forward with and people will accept, and it'll be free and beneficial. And of course, eventually when you have the wearables and all the other stuff that they tell you is for your health, you'll actually be able to control human beings' minds. It's for mass mind control, kill switches. These are the things that we're talking about here. Total biohacking, under the skin surveillance, right? Next gen 6G wireless tech might use human bodies for energy. Remember the scene from The Matrix where he holds up the battery, turning a human being into this. That's what they're doing here. You and AI as one through a 6G bioconvergence. And of course, we might as well call it what it really is, hacking humanity. Here are some clips, if you're not familiar with how they've been talking about this for years, how 6G is literally going to be inside of you, that the next wave of phones will be underneath your skin, that you yourself will become the phone, how this type of technology will enable them to see through walls and monitor us 24/7 in these smart cities on this surveillance grid.
I wanted to ask when you all think we're going to move from this form factor to something that's on your face, glasses, and when computing's all on the edge.
All right, 50 seconds. Who wants to answer quickly?
I think it will go. It will. First of all, it will definitely happen. I was talking about 6G earlier, which is around 2030. I would say that by then, definitely the smartphone as we know it today will not anymore be the usual kind of the most common interface. Wow. Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
The U.S. government's Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency developed what they call next-generation non-surgical neurotechnology, designed to allow the human brain to directly interface with machines.
Know that DARPA is exploring human-machine interfaces that include direct connections between the brain and outside systems.
We could have a sensor maybe on the surface of our head, or maybe implanted somewhere in our body, in our brain, or something that allows us to interact directly with our communications gear, our processing gear, our weapon systems, and so on. You put this sensor on and you think the right way, and you can increase the speed of the fan by thinking and controlling that thought with direct-to-mind or mind-machine interfacing.
But there are those who believe that this same technology could also be used by DARPA as a new form of mind control. Like their counterparts at the CIA, DARPA-funded researchers have spent decades investigating how the human mind can be altered. Project Pandora, which studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human behavior. But DARPA's investigation of how machines can affect and possibly control the brain continues to this day.
There are explicit programs of DARPA to read and write to human brains.
We can send instructions and information to an actual person a distance with this kind of technology to let another person control their actions.
DARPA may possess the technology to remotely control the human mind, a more permanent kind of mind control technology is looming. And it involves modifying the human brain by altering the human body.
And you put these pieces together that can be injected.
Can you imagine that in 10 years when we are sitting here, we have an implant in our brains, and I can immediately feel, because you all will have implants.
Hello, Bethany speaking.
What are you doing?
This is Bethany, can you hear me?
Well, you're right in front of me.
But can you hear me down the phone?
Oh my God.
This is me. On the phone, I had it implanted. My hand is the phone. I can walk and talk because I'm on the phone inside my hand. I am the phone. This is what phones are going to be from now on. I have integrated. Thank you for your call. Subdermal implants. They charge themselves with motion like a self-winding watch. I get signal across 95% of UK mainland, 98 by next year.
It was ringing. You were ringing.
That's the speaker. So small. On the phone, I had it implanted. My hand is the phone. I am the phone. I am the phone.
Now let's talk about that 6G sensing side of things. Amanda, how does it work?
Well, as Peter mentioned, so in 6G, the network becomes a sense itself, and it's a critical element for creating digital twins at scale. So if you think about, for example, the digital twin of a smart city, it really can keep the flow of the traffic, understand the flow of the traffic, the people, whether they are connected or non-connected.
All right, we got Peter giving us an example demonstration.
Yes, let's do that. All right, so what we have here is a live 6G demo using the prototype radio equipment. So we can see as Peter walked through the corridor, so this is a harbor environment. Imagine it's raining, it's foggy, and you can't really see that very clearly. And the system basically, using for communication, will be able to identify the location and distance of Peter as he walked through the corridor. So as you can see here, as Peter walks, the forklift came, and then he got a warning sign because the system understands the location of Peter, and then to ask the forklift to stop. And as he continues to walk and then exit the danger zone, then the forklift stops. So this is really a way to demonstrate how network will be able to sense, think, and act.
That's really quite remarkable that you can leverage the wireless capabilities to figure out what's going on in a space. Great for autonomous robots and things of that nature. Peter, give us a sense as to what's next from Nokia Bell Labs.
Well, we have in total set 6 research directions. Makes it easy to remember for 6G, right?
So that's what hell on earth actually looks like. And remember, Donald Trump is the one who's bringing all of this in. Well, they distract you every day with, here's a little leak from the Epstein files. Here's a little leak of this. Oh, trans people are doing that. Nobody's paying attention to the data centers and the build out of this surveillance state that Donald Trump is bringing in. Even these clowns like RFK. Remember when he said every American within the next 4 years, they expect them to be wearing wearables?
In fact, we're about to launch one of the biggest advertising campaigns in HHS history to encourage Americans to use wearables. It's a way of people can take control over their own health. They can take responsibility. They can see, as you know, what food is doing to their glucose levels, their heart rates, and a number of other metrics as they eat it. And they can begin to make good judgments about their diet, about their physical activity, about the way that they live their lives. We think that wearables are a key to the MAHA agenda, making America healthy again. And we are going to, my vision is that every American is wearing a wearable within 4 years.
And of course, wearables with 6G technology will give them instant access underneath your skin. And from there, of course, we go into the smartphones becoming obsolete and brain-computer interfaces. And these psychopaths like Yuval Harari and Klaus Schwab telling you for years and years and years that the plan has always been to see, to be under your skin.
COVID is critical because this is what convinces people to accept, to legitimize total biometric surveillance. If we want to stop this epidemic, We need not just to monitor people, we need to monitor what's happening under their skin, their body temperature. Like we walked in here, we had to go through a body temperature test. No, I think maybe in a couple of decades when people look back, the thing they will remember from the COVID crisis is this is the moment when everything went digital. And if this was the moment when everything became monitored. That we agreed to be surveyed all the time, not just in authoritarian regimes, but even in democracies. And maybe most importantly at all, this was the moment when surveillance started going under the skin. The biometric sensor. It's the thing, it's the gadget, it's the technology that converts biological data into digital data that can be analyzed by computers. And having the ability to really monitor people under the skin, this is the biggest game changer of all. With this kind of surveillance, I mean, you watch the big president, the big leader, gives a speech on television. The television could be monitoring you and knowing whether you're angry or not, just by analyzing the cues, the biological cues coming from your body. So now people are now watching us online, all over the world, this conversation. Now, maybe even right now, the people who are watching us are being watched and analyzed. And the thing is, it's not just you're now watching this. The thing is, we know that you're watching this and we also know how you feel. Are you angry about what you hear? Are you frightened? Are you bored? This is the kind of power that Stalin didn't have. When Stalin gave a speech, everybody, of course, clapped their hand and smiled. Now, how do you know what they really think about Stalin? It's very difficult. You can't have a KGB agent following everybody all the time. Even if you do it, he's just watching your outside behavior. He doesn't really know what's happening in your mind. But in 10 years, the future Stalins of the 21st century, they could be watching the minds, the brains of all the population all the time. And also they will have the computing power to analyze all that. It's not just having an agent following everybody all the time. The agent in Stalin's days writes a paper report, and you have these millions of paper reports piling up in Moscow. Somebody needs to read them, to analyze them. That's impossible. Now you don't need human agents. You don't need human analyzers. You just have a lot of sensors and an AI which analyzes it, and that's it. You have the worst totalitarian regime in history. And COVID is important because COVID legitimizes some of the crucial steps, even in democratic countries. The really big thing is hacking human beings. To hack human beings, you need a lot of biological knowledge, a lot of computing power, and especially a lot of data. If you have enough data about me and enough computing power and biological knowledge, you can hack my body, my brain, my life. You can reach a point when you know me better than I know myself. And once you reach that point, and we are very close to that point, then democracy, the free market as we have, and actually all political systems, also authoritarian regimes, we have no idea what happens once you pass that point. Now, in the past, many tyrants and governments wanted to do it, but nobody understood biology well enough. And nobody had enough computing power and data to hack millions of people. Neither the Gestapo nor the KGB could do it. But soon, at least some corporations and governments will be able to systematically hack all the people. We humans should get used to the idea that we are no longer mysterious souls. We are now hackable animals. Data might enable human elites to do something even more radical than just build digital dictatorships. By hacking organisms, elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself. Because once you can hack something, you can usually also engineer it. And if indeed we succeed in hacking and engineering life, this will be not just the greatest revolution in the history of humanity. This will be the greatest revolution in biology since the very beginning of life 4 billion years ago. For 4 billion years, nothing fundamental changed in the basic rules of the game of life. All of life, for 4 billion years, dinosaurs, amoebas, tomatoes, humans, all of life was subject to the laws of natural selection and to the laws of organic biochemistry. But this is now about to change. Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds, the IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud. These are the new driving forces of evolution. And at the same time, science may enable life, after being confined for 4 billion years to the limited realm of organic compounds, science may enable life to break out into the inorganic realm. So after 4 billion years of organic life shaped by natural selection, we are entering the era of inorganic life shaped by intelligent design. So does the data about my DNA, my brain, my body, my life, does it belong to me or to some corporation or to the government or perhaps to the human collective? Humans are now hackable animals. You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over. Free will, that's over.
That's over.
Over. Today, we have the technology to hack human beings on a massive scale. Yeah, I mean, everything is being digitalized. Everything is being monitored. In this time of crisis, you have to follow science. It's often said that you should never allow a good crisis to go to waste, because a crisis is an opportunity to also do good reforms that in normal times people will never agree to. But in a crisis, you see, we have no chance. So let's do it.
Vaccine won't help us go to
the
the
vaccine
test, of course.
will help us, of course. It will make things, you know, more manageable. Surveillance. People could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over, especially surveillance under the skin, which I think is maybe the most important development of the 21st century, is this ability to hack human beings, to go under the skin, collect biometric data, analyze it, and understand people better than they understand themselves. This, I believe, is maybe the most important event of the 21st century.
One of the features of this fourth industrial revolution is that it doesn't change what we are doing, but it changes us. The difference of this fourth industrial revolution is it doesn't change what you are doing, it changes you. If you take genetic editing, right. Just as an example, it's you who are changed. Yeah, and of course this has a big impact on your identity.
Yeah. And offers certain kinds of possibilities that have to be careful about. You know, when you began to do that kind of gene editing, some people worry that you are changing what it means to be human.
That's the problem. Of course, the new industrial revolution offers us many opportunities, but it raises manifold questions on the ethical, but even legal implications. And we have to be prepared for it, and that's what we want to do in Davos next year. So this fourth industrial revolution is, it doesn't change what you are doing, it changes you. If you take genetic editing, right. Just as an example, It's you who are changed.
So here we have Donald Trump, the father of the vaccine, who will now be the father of 6G in America, convincing people, which I've said many times. How many times do they have to come out and they go, well, we're in a race with China, for these sheeple to go, oh, yeah, well, we got to get to 6G before China. Oh, yeah, we got to get the data centers and AI before China. And they just nod and say yes. They don't even know what it means. And they go, I'm not smart enough to understand what it actually means, right? Just like when we all tried to explain what the vaccine was, an mRNA. And everybody called us all insane. It was too late for people to learn it. Most of the people who ended up getting vaccinated, a lot of them actually woke up and said, oh, I regret it. I shouldn't have done it. I should have done my research. They dismissed the stuff we were all saying at first. It's the same thing here. They're going to have this all built out with the data centers. They're going to have this all built out with AI. Nobody's paying attention to it. They're going to have it all built out with 6G. And then they're going to replace Donald Trump with some other character because these are hand-selected characters. And Donald Trump is just here for the left-right divide to distract, to cause just countless amounts of things that should not even be issues that we're discussing, whether it's the trans stuff, whether it's the government-fed Epstein files, while we're watching them build out the World Economic Forum's, the United Nations, artificial intelligence governance. That's what this is about, and that's what 6G is going to give them. It's going to give them total control, including of you. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.